welcome back to my channel. I am Bekah Jo, aka the Makeup Tax Lady, and today we are doing a get ready with me. My husband and I are doing a little date day, and I am wearing this, of course you can't see the whole thing on camera, but this beautiful little strapless dress, linen dress that I had bought I think at Marshall's a few months ago, and bought it like without any agenda in mind. I just really liked it and it fit me really well, so I picked it up, and I'm gonna wear it today. So let's just do some fun makeup to go with that. The foundation combination I've been wearing lately starts with this Kingdom Come Home Blue Tansy Foundation Primer. I've been just putting a couple pumps in my hands and using that to blend it all across my face. This is so nice on the skin. It does a good job to bring a balance to my skin. I'm not super dry or oily. I'm a pretty normal or balanced skin tone, but that primer, especially like pre-foundation, so nice on the skin. While that is drying down, the foundation I'm going to use is Christian Beauty Co. Tallow Skin First. This is their liquid foundation, and these two products in combination are golden. I mean, they are just fantastic. This is the shade Light Neutral, which is not their most fair shade, and it works really well for me. As I've been wearing this, just using like a flat spatula brush, as I've been wearing this foundation again more recently, been reminded less is more. It does not take a whole lot to get the coverage I want, and to do more can lead it to look a little bit cakey. So this, actually, I probably will add more to my forehead, but we'll just start with what I pumped out on my face, which was just two small, not full pumps, just two little blips, and it was perfect for those two portions of my face, cheek and cheek. There's also something to be said for the spatula technique. I know it like had a minute. It's probably had a few minutes on social medias, but it really does make a difference to like spread out your foundation. You can do it with your finger or with a spatula brush like that, or like I have a metal spatula sort of thing. Like this is the end of an eyeshadow brush, but this sort of metal spatula thing where you can kind of use this to spread it out. But it really does do a great job to blend the foundation around. And I'm not going for like a super heavy coverage, but this provides such a pretty natural finish. I would say a medium coverage. So I really enjoy these combination of products. For concealer in the shade BU, I'm gonna use my Tower 28. Gonna add this primarily to my under and then a couple other spots. I'm gonna sip on some tea while I give all that a minute to settle. I do really like this concealer. I have tried both the Tower 28 and the Kosas in the past few months, 6 months or so, and I like them both. I don't know if I have a preference one over the other, but I do like both of them a lot. Next, I want to use my Christian Beauty Co. Tallow Sculpt and Bronze, but this is the contour, the lightest contour shade. So I find this to be a really pretty olive-leaning undertone. It's not too gray, and it's not warm. It doesn't have like an orange or yellow to it. And it's a good depth for my skin tone. It's not too much too quickly. I'm gonna blend that in with my brush. If you're hearing my kitty cats in the background, my husband is playing with them. So they are just having a ball. I like to take just whatever's left over on my jawline and my neck. Definitely because I'm wearing both a strapless dress and white, I want to make sure that everything is well blended as it goes down my neck For cream blush, I want to use Sydney Grace cream blush in the shade Sugar Drip. This is their like true pink shade. So pretty. Add a little bit of this. I like to just like swirl my brush in the product and then kind of stipple it onto my cheek. This is a Sydney Grace brush. Doesn't have a number on it, but it might be the one they call the concealer brush, but it fits perfectly into the little blush and bronzer pots. And it's such a light, fresh pink kind of color. I'm not trying to go too intense with the cream blush shade. We'll add more powder blush. To set, I'm going to use my Sydney Grace Cloud 9 powder in Fair. This stuff is just remarkable. It's just so good. I've seen a few other folks talking about it recently, and I'm so glad to hear that. I think it's such a good product. One of the big things for me is that it doesn't have any fragrance. And I know there are plenty of powders, especially in like the high-end world, that do have fragrance. And I just don't need that. I don't need that on my face. It irritates my sinuses. And I'd rather a powder not. But this one also, like, that's not its only thing. It also just performs so well. I'm just taking some on the brush at a time. And I like to pick it up where the majority of the product is, kind of tap it off on the edge, and then take the cap and just kind of disperse it well into the brush. And then very light touch over my face. And down the neck a smidge. I'm gonna add a little powder bronzer for my Sydney Grace Luminous Light palette. This is the light version. So we're gonna use Starlight here. And I like to dip my brush in and then tap it off on the mirror to again kind of help disperse the product on the brush. Not a necessary step, just one that I like to do. And I've been loving bronzer lately, so just kind of putting it higher up on the face, up onto the forehead and the cheeks, and then with what's left down the nose and down the neck. We'll come back to powder blush before finishing, but I'm gonna take my e.l.f. brow pencil now, starting with the brush and just kind of moving all the hairs around. I have no fancy brow techniques, and I don't pretend to be an expert in the area. I just do whatever makes sense, and I try really hard not to go too dark. I feel like with my brow color and my just overall complexion, it does not take much for my brows to get too dark and like kind of take over my face. Just want to add a little bit just to make sure I like the way that they look. Good enough. And then I move on. This is my Sydney Grace Clear Stronghold Brow Gel. Just run that through to help keep the brows in shape. Throwing on some About Face eyeshadow primer and just blending that out with a brush. I did just wash some of my brushes. You know how satisfying that is when you get to use like a freshly cleaned brush. It's almost like I don't want to use it because I like that it's clean, but it also just feels great to have it clean. Okay, I know I don't want to do anything dark and heavy for this look. We're going out daytime. I'm wearing white linen. Like, I don't want a heavy eye, but I think I want to use at least a few of the shades in my Glaminatrix Tones of Turd. No, Timeless Tones, the other tones. Timeless Tones palette. The shimmer shades are all this like beautiful, extra dimensional, sparkly. My dress has like blue in it, so we'll probably lean into the blues. These, especially these top three, but even this shimmer shade on this row, they're all a little bit more sheer in base. These all have just a little bit more base to them. So I'm going to start with the shade Lady here, and I'm just gonna take a fluffy brush and put Lady. It's not too much deeper than my natural skin tone, so I think I'm gonna start by putting that towards my outer corner. I may blend it all over the lid, but I'm gonna start with it towards my outer corner. I'm using this Refer 01. Yeah, that's not gonna be too deep, so I'm just gonna bring it across the whole lid and blend it up and into my crease. Such a pretty light wash of color. We're off to a good start. I didn't pick this palette up when it first released. I think I picked it up at some point last year, 2025. I don't remember if it was in Black Friday or when it was. I think I was picking up something else at the same time, and I was like, you know, I probably would enjoy that palette. So here we are. And I do enjoy the palette. It's really pretty. It definitely can lean toward a smoky eye very easily, just based on like the shades in there, the vibe of the palette, if you will. So not that that's a bad thing, that's just something to note. But the fun thing with palettes, you don't have to use all of the shades. You pick the ones that you want to put in that look that you're putting together, that look for today. So you can lean more green, you can lean more blue, you can keep it more neutral. You know, you've got options. Okay, so I just swatched Exquisite with my first finger, Delicate with my second finger, and Dignified with my ring finger. There are those three shades. So this one's a little more blue, this one's a little more silver, and this one's a little bit deeper, a little more taupe. This one's out. That's too much for what I want today. That one's pretty, but I would use it in a very light, dispersed, sparkly way. This one, I know you can't see my dress. This one goes pretty well with the blue in my dress. Let's also swatch Expensive. That one's a little bit lighter with blue. Hopefully you're able to kind of see here. Oh, that one goes really well too. Sorry, I know this is hard to see. Okay, we are gonna get creative. I wanna use both Exquisite and then I think Expensive. So we'll start with Exquisite, and I'm gonna use this Sigma E54. I want this, I'm tapping very gently. I want more of a dispersed, like I said, not a super opaque. Okay, we could afford to spray this shade. Just spraying it with my Divine Oasis Desert Botanical Hydration Mist from Christian Beauty Co. Okay, so I picked up the shimmer shade and then sprayed the brush. Add just a little bit more on like the outer portion of the lid, the outer half. I'm being very tippy-tappy, very light with it. That's pretty. I'm gonna use both of those shimmer shades, again, very lightly, to create a little dimension on the lid without using a lot of mattes. That is one thing that I have been enjoying lately. Nothing against matte shades. I think they're pretty. They have their time and place. Sometimes I really love an all matte look, but I also just like using the fun shimmery shades and in a less than opaque capacity, in a little bit sheerer of form, and using that to create the dimension rather than different mattes. Okay, now I'm gonna swatch again because I don't know which ones I want to do. That one's a little more poppy. That one's a little bit. I'm gonna swatch them on my fingers, spread them out a little. So, oh, those are so pretty. Okay, I want to use the more silvery shade, which is Delicate. It is the bottom corner shade down here. So I'm going to pick that up. I did wipe off my brush from the other shade, so I'm picking up just enough, hopefully. Spraying. Trying to do less than a full spray because it doesn't need to be like drenched. I'm doing a very light tippy tap just to add some more sparkles. These Glaminatrix shades work so well just to add a little sparkle, especially when used like this. And this is one way that I love to play with makeup, is to find different ways to use the same product. That it's the same shimmery eyeshadow, but you can use it more intense and opaque, or you can use it a little more sheer so it's just sparkly and just gives a little pop. I think in the indie makeup world, we have the opportunity to find some of those shades. I think, and this isn't meant to be a bad thing at all, but I think a lot of content creators are like full opacity, full with both mattes and shimmers. Like you want the most bang, you want the loudest impact with looks. And I love that too, right? I enjoy that too, but I also enjoy like finding ways to make things maybe a little more subtle, or giving the impact that I want and not just what it gives, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna go add my mascara and I'll be right back. All right, my Tower 28 mascara is what's on my lids. I got a nice little glob right on like the inner corner of my upper lid here of mascara. So I'm gonna give that a few more minutes to dry and then I'll try to take it off with a Q-tip. But let's go in with blush. I cannot get enough of my Ensley Rain Forevermore Nevermore blush palette. I have not edited this at all. I think I want to use Rebound, maybe dip into a little bit of Tainted Love as well. My favorite shades in this palette, my most reached for, are Bittersweet, Love Drunk, and Rebound. I love mixing them too. So just a little bit into both, and then I'm gonna just kind of run it around on the mirror here. And this is a Repher 04. Very, very light brush strokes to build that up how I want. Because we went more subtle on the eyes, I'm okay with doing a little bit more on the cheeks. Not that this I feel like is too much, because I would wear this on just about any day, but trying to keep things nice and light and fresh. Because we kept the eyes fresh, I feel like we can just go with pinky fresh for the cheeks. This highlighter, Longing, is simply one of my favorite highlighters in my collection. It is pinky with a little bit of a shift, and it's subtle. It doesn't have a whole lot of like texture, but it does just enough to stand off from, in a good way, to stand off from the blush so that it adds just a little bit of dimension. Oh, cannot get enough. I try not to wear it every day. I do love many of the highlighter shades from Ensley Rain. This one, partly just because it's in the same palette, but it's definitely a recurring option for me. Okay, I have this Unearthly lip gloss in the shade Juice. So I want to use this for my lippy. It's pretty pigmented. I'll clean up the edges again here in a second. Okay, I was able with my fingertip to scrape off just enough of that mascara smudge that I no longer care. So that is perfect. Let me give you a little close up. So here we are. Here is my final look for today. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. Hopefully it was just a fun little refreshing something to listen to in the background. I know that I'm not putting out a whole lot of content these days, but I am working on it, and I think the majority of travel between my husband and myself is like mostly over for now. So hopefully things get a little bit calmer. Hopefully I'm able to produce a few more videos a little more regularly. I'm a broken record. I know I've been saying that. But thank you for being here and for hanging out. I have several new palettes that I probably just need to do like a video. I want to do like a video on each of them. Probably could just do a video talking through a lot of the palettes that I've gotten in the last few months. Not like it's a lot of palettes, but they're fun. Some of them are newer releases. In the meantime, and to close out today's video, let me get our Bible verse. Okay, let's read from Galatians 6 verses 6 through 10, and I'm reading from the New King James Version. Let him who is taught the word share in all good things with him who teaches. Do not be deceived, God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. For he who sows to his flesh will of the flesh reap corruption. But he who sows to the Spirit will of the Spirit reap everlasting life. And let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all, especially to those who are of the household of faith. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video, and I hope to see you in the next one.